At 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, a tornado hit Runaway Bay, Texas, a small retirement and vacation community on the banks of Lake Bridgeport, 60 miles northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. Homes along Cumberland Trail, Overland Trail, and Cactus Canyon Drive took direct hits. Vehicles were thrown, roofs disappeared. Wise County Judge J.D. Clark issued his damage assessment and confirmed that 20 families were displaced, multiple people were injured, and one person was confirmed dead. Every available ambulance in Wise County was committed within minutes. The county judge requested mutual aid from surrounding jurisdictions because local emergency resources were overwhelmed. A reunification center was established at 513 Protocol Drive so families could find out whether their relatives were alive. First responders in both Wise County and Parker County worked through the night in total darkness, navigating downed power lines and debris fields that had made roads impassable. One confirmed death became two when Parker County officials reported a fatality south of Springtown, where the same storm had collapsed a structure and trapped at least 2 people inside. That was day 4 of the outbreak. 8 people are dead across 2 states in 5 days. 501 confirmed tornadoes through April 23rd alone, nearly 100 above the long-term average and the fastest pace in modern record keeping. An EF4 in Oklahoma, an EF5 in Indiana. And right now, as you watch this, the Storm Prediction Center has placed 12 million people in the path of what it calls the next significant severe weather event in the Mississippi Valley. The ambulances in Wise County are still committed, the reunification center is still open, and the atmosphere is already reloading. To understand why this outbreak is different from a bad week of spring weather, you need to understand the atmospheric mechanism that has been running since mid-April. It is not a single storm system, it is a loop. A deep upper-level trough, a southward dip in the jet stream, has been parked over the Central Plains since Wednesday. Positioned east of that trough, a low-level jet stream running at 50 to 60 knots has been continuously pumping Gulf of Mexico moisture northward day after day, feeding explosive thunderstorm development on a repeating cycle. The dry line, the boundary between Gulf moisture and continental dry air moving in from the west, provides the daily trigger. The cold front sweeping behind the system provides the atmospheric lift that converts that moisture into supercell thunderstorms, capable of producing significant tornadoes. The critical variable is forward speed. This system is moving slowly. Instead of sweeping through the region and clearing the atmosphere, it has been crawling eastward at a pace that allows the atmosphere to recharge overnight and fire again the following afternoon. That is the meteorological explanation for 5 consecutive days of moderate or higher severe weather risk. 5 consecutive days at moderate risk or above almost never happens. The Storm Prediction Center's moderate risk designation, level 4 of 5, is not a routine watch and wait advisory. It is issued for days when forecasters have high confidence that significant tornadoes, meaning EF2 or stronger, are likely across a defined corridor. The center issued that designation for the outbreak that produced the Enid EF4. It issued it again for the outbreak that hit Runaway Bay. And its current outlook for the Mississippi Valley corridor names a specific mechanism, a triple-point low and dry line convergence that forecasters describe as a potential focus for heightened tornado potential, with a few strong and particularly damaging tornadoes possible. That language in Storm Prediction Center terminology is not hedging. It is a direct warning. Now, here is the part of the story that no outlet covering the outbreak has assembled in one place. This 5-day siege did not arrive into a normal tornado season. It arrived into a season that was already rewriting the historical record before April was half over. 501 confirmed tornadoes through April 23rd. From 1991 to 2020, the climatological average for the entire month of April is 182. The 2026 season passed that number before the third week of the month. The National Weather Service has issued 838 tornado warnings across 68 forecast offices through April 21st alone. That pace has no direct modern parallel in the agency's own records, but the number that should reframe how you read every piece of severe weather coverage going forward is this one. The National Weather Service Forecast Office issuing the most tornado warnings of any office in the country right now is not in Oklahoma City. It is not in Wichita. It is not anywhere in the traditional tornado belt that has defined the geography of American severe weather for a century. It is National Weather Service, Chicago. 61 tornado warning events and counting. The center of gravity of the most active tornado warning office in the United States during the most anomalous tornado season in modern record keeping is in the upper Midwest. That region historically sits on the northern margin of significant tornado activity, not at its epicenter. That geographic signal matters beyond the statistics. The tornado belt, the corridor of atmospheric conditions that produces the highest frequency of significant tornadoes in the world, is showing evidence of a northward and eastward displacement that has been documented in peer-reviewed research, but has not previously expressed itself at this operational scale during an active season. A 2021 study published in the journal NPJ, Climate and Atmospheric Science, by researchers at Northern Illinois University, found statistically significant trends toward increased tornado frequency in the upper Midwest and Ohio Valley, and decreased frequency in the traditional Southern Plains corridor, a pattern the researchers attributed to shifting moisture transport pathways as Gulf Sea surface temperatures and atmospheric circulation patterns evolve. The 2026 season is the first in which that trend has produced a record-breaking anomaly at the warning office level. The tornado belt is not where it was. The emergency infrastructure of the cities now sitting inside it was not built for this. Let the specific events of this outbreak establish what that infrastructure gap means in human terms. On Wednesday evening, April 23rd, a supercell thunderstorm produced a tornado south of Enid, Oklahoma, a city of 52,000 people. The tornado was 500 yards wide. It carved through the Gray Ridge Estates neighborhood at winds clocked by National Weather Service survey teams at 170 to 175 miles per hour. It was rated EF4, the strongest confirmed tornado of 2026 at that point. 40 homes were damaged or destroyed. 15 people were pulled from the wreckage with injuries. Vance Air Force Base, a military pilot training installation directly north of the damage path, lost fencing and equipment and suspended all flight operations. No one in Enid died. The warning system worked. People sheltered. The outcome was survivable. Then on March 10th, before this outbreak began, an EF5 tornado with winds exceeding 200 miles per hour carved a 14.6 mile path through Wells County, Indiana. It was only the second EF5 tornado confirmed in the United States since 2013. The first had ended a 12-year drought of that intensity. The second arrived less than a year later. 2 EF5 tornadoes in less than 12 months. The previous gap was 12 years, and both of the EF5 events from 2025 to 2026 occurred outside the traditional tornado belt, one in Indiana, placing it squarely in the northward shifted corridor that National Weather Service Chicago warning data is now quantifying in real time. The warning infrastructure for those events exists. The National Weather Service issued watches and warnings. Emergency managers activated protocols, but warning infrastructure and response infrastructure are not the same thing. When every ambulance in Wise County is committed within minutes of a single tornado, when a reunification center has to be established so families can find out if their relatives survived, The gap between the warning that went out and the capacity to respond to what the warning predicted is visible and measurable. That gap is widest in the cities now sitting inside the shifted corridor. St. Louis, the Quad Cities, Peoria, Springfield, the southern suburbs of Chicago. These are not cities with tornado shelter infrastructure built to the standard of Moore, Oklahoma, or Joplin, Missouri. Communities that rebuilt after catastrophic direct hits with hardened emergency protocols. They are cities where a significant tornado is a once-in-a-generation event, until it isn't. The Storm Prediction Center's outlook for the Mississippi Valley corridor tomorrow does not cut through empty farmland. St. Louis sits at the southern edge of the forecast corridor. The Quad Cities straddle its center. Peoria and Springfield lie within the defined risk area. And depending on exactly where the triple point low sets up, a position that carries a margin of error measured in tens of miles at the 48-hour forecast range, the southern suburbs of the Chicago metropolitan area, home to 9.5 million people, move into direct play. The forecast language the Storm Prediction Center uses for this corridor is the same language it used before the Enid EF4 and before the Runaway Bay event. Strong and particularly damaging tornadoes are possible. That is not speculative language. It is operational language from the agency whose job is to translate atmospheric physics into actionable public guidance. The climatological calendar has one more thing to add to this. April is not the peak of tornado season in the United States. May is. June follows. If this is what April looks like, an EF5 in Indiana, an EF4 in Oklahoma, 2 dead in Texas, 501 confirmed tornadoes before the month is over, and National Weather Service, Chicago, leading every tornado warning office in the country. What does the peak of the season look like? That question does not have a clean answer. The pattern that produced this outbreak, the slow-moving trough, the persistent Gulf moisture feed, and the dry line trigger, is a pattern that the models show returning in approximately 6 weeks. The atmosphere does not care that the calendar says May. It cares about the temperature gradient between the Gulf and the Arctic, the position of the jet stream, and the moisture content of the air moving north from the Gulf of Mexico. All 3 of those variables are currently running in the direction that produces outbreaks, not away from it. 8 people dead in 5 days. 501 tornadoes in less than 4 weeks. The tornado belt shifted north into cities whose emergency infrastructure was designed for a different geography. And 6 weeks from now, at the climatological peak of the season, the same atmospheric machine that just overwhelmed the ambulance capacity of Wise County, Texas, will be running again. This time aimed at a corridor whose largest city has 9.5 million people in it. The Reunification Center on Protocol Drive is still open. The low-level jet is already strengthening over the Gulf. The atmosphere building toward tomorrow is not a new system, it is the same one, reloaded. The infrastructure story, what tornado shelter capacity actually looks like in the upper Midwest cities, now inside the shifted corridor, and what the 6-week return window of this pattern means for emergency preparedness planning is the follow-up this video is pointing toward. If you are in the Storm Prediction Center's current risk corridor, which includes Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, and Indiana, the watch and warning system will give you time if you know what to do with it. NOAA weather radio frequencies for your region are linked in the description. The gap that killed people in Wise County was not the warning. The warning went out. The gap was what happened after. Drop in the comments where you are watching this from, because the comment section on this video is going to tell us exactly how far north the audience for this story now reaches, and that answer matters.